Not good. Hey, folks. Welcome. This is NotJay from Rocky's War Room, and we've got Todd, the wardrobe, with us. And Hex to Hex is Jeff is with us also. He is currently manhandling his camera into a better position, as his wardrobe. But so he'll be back on presently, as they say. I know it's been a while. This is episode 14. It's been a while. And David Hall, thank you so much, buddy. Hello, greetings to all, etc. It has been a while. Yeah, and just some things been going on lately. Just, whatever. But I thought tonight needed to get there is Mr. Jeff Fafa. There's Jeff Fafa. How are you doing tonight, sir?
I am doing wonderful, sir. How about everybody else?
Doing okay. We do have one viewer currently. That's Dave Hall. He does, as you can see here, says hello, greetings to all, etc. It's been a while. And we've got Jeff Fafa playing some permutation of Civil War again. August Fury, the Second Battle of Manassas. Now, I get it confused. Manassas is what the North called it.
The South called it by
Bull
the
Run,
town, and the North called it by the major train feature.
That's not helping me.
Okay, so Bull Run was what the North called it.
Okay, so Manassas is the Confederate name. Okay,
Right.
I knew it was the same battle, and there was two of them. So there's four names.
Yeah, what's funny is they redid this game later in a different volume, or in the series a different volume, and they call it the Three Battles of Manassas. They even put a hypothetical late war.
No, okay. So where is Manassas / Bull Run?
All right, so you're about 20 minutes south of D.C., southwest of D.C., Washington, D.C.
Okay, so in Virginia.
Yeah.
All right.
That was the first Manassas was the battle where all the civilians from Washington, D.C. rode out in wagons to Centerville to watch the battle.
Oh, yeah.
All were scattering back across the stone bridge. At the same time, the Union forces were running away.
Okay.
So this is the second battle. This is where Longstreet, where Jackson defended the railroad cut and lured Pope's army into it, and where George McClellan said, let Pope get himself out of this mess, and just left him hanging. And then Longstreet rolled up the flank of Pope's army.
All right. Oh, there it is.
Another Chancellorsville, so to speak.
Yeah.
And then Todd, Wardrobe Reed, came to the rescue.
Speaking of which, he is playing Rostov some damn thing or other.
Yes, I am.
So this is
Rostov 41.
Soviet Union, World War II.
Correct. November 24th through 26th, 1941. The Germans were going to try to take Rostov, but now the Germans are like, crap, we got to get out of here.
Okay. And where's Rostov?
Okay, so this is Taganrog Bay, Sea of Azov.
Oh, okay.
Rostov. Not Stalingrad, but Stalino is here. Sometimes you'll hear about that. So kind of down south a piece.
All right.
I think I'd have to look at my map. Jeff, is Rostov kind of the beginning to get down to the oil fields?
Yeah, that was the gate.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. In the Caucasus?
Yeah, so down this way.
Okay.
To the lower left of Rostov, through the bay and the sea, there would be Crimea. Off to the left somewhere.
Crimea, River of Tears.
What you painting, NotJay?
I'm going to finish up. I don't have my paint cam tonight. It's downstairs from last night, and I'm lazy and didn't want to go get it. But I'm going to finish up my Hira Syndulla from Rebels, Star Wars Rebels. This is one of the many miniatures that were 3D printed for me by Jay Wiley of Wiley Games. Thank you, Mr. Wiley. If you so deign to watch this later or decide to come back, come on tonight, I'll go ahead and thank you then as well. Dave Hall does have another question here. Is this where they were throwing stones?
As a matter of fact, Dave, right here where I got my pointer, this is the dump, and the dump is where they were throwing the rocks.
So who are throwing rocks?
Jackson's boys had run out of ammunition right before Longstreet decided to start his attack. And this is, a lot of people sort of slander Longstreet for waiting so long, but he could not have timed this any better because two corps from the Union Army, he waited for them to get their attack developed on Jackson, and then that's when he struck.
Nice.
And of course, Lee was riding with Longstreet. So,
all right, there you go. There you go. So, tonight I'm going to be using Army War Painter War Paints Monster Brown. And for those of y'all interested, you can get the Army Painter War Paints Monster Brown from not only the paint set that we just looked at that had 55 colors in it, from where?
War Games Delivered.
There you go. You can get it in the smaller set, which has got like 22, 25 colors, I think it is. So, as Matt said during our unboxing, it is a very good brown.
And don't forget the discount.
Yeah. If you go to when you order something from War Games Delivered, anything at all, put in War-Room, the number 10, that's 10, War-Room 10, get 10% off your purchases. So, and if you spend over $99, you get free shipping. So you got a lot going for you.
Well worth it. Well worth it.
So, but what I'm painting right now is her boots and her jacket are in this brown color. So how's everybody's weekend?
I spent it with you all.
I know you did. And I appreciate you coming and checking out the game that my brother and I ran for the virtual convention of ScrumCon. ScrumCon is a little convention out of the Washington, D.C. area.
Are you kidding me?
No.
It's like an owl for me.
Yeah. So, but it was all virtual this year, so you didn't have to, you could be from anywhere and play it. But Walt, who is one of our players this weekend, is part of the, I guess he's part of the convention, and had played our What a Tanker game when we did virtual recruits this past September. And he was so enamored with the game and how we ran it, that my brother and I ran it, that he told the guys running ScrumCon, you need to get a hold of the Arnold boys because they put on a damn good game. Yep. And hopefully we did not disappoint.
It was a good game. It wasn't painfully slow or long. It was very efficient. Yeah.
Well, that's what Jay and I really like about that particular game from the Two Fat Lardies, is that it is a great convention game. It takes hardly any time at all to explain to people how to play the game. We give them basic information to start, and then we just go. And I've got the feeling that everybody that did play enjoyed themselves. And, at one point in time, we had like 7 viewers, and 3 of them were you guys. So actually 4 of them were you guys, because I had Warm Up there, I had Todd there, I had Jeff Fafa there, and even Matt popped in to say hi. So, the only folks we missed were of our permanent current group was McMurray, and I think he was asleep, because he works nights.
Right. He joined up with us later and chit chat a little bit.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was a fun time. We're hoping to be able to do it again live, in person at Recruits this coming September. We're hoping that Recruits happens again. Anybody that can make it to the Kansas City area that last weekend of September, I highly recommend coming to the convention. It is $5 measly to get in. $5.
What's the date on that?
We don't have a for sure date yet, but it's normally the last weekend of September. A lot of things go into play there. The number one thing is if Lee Summit High School decides to have a home football game that weekend, that Friday night or not. Normally, lately, the school, the athletics program has been kind enough to work with the gaming group there at the school, and have been gracious enough to schedule an away game that last weekend of September.
Wow, that's a big deal.
Yeah, it is a big deal. It's it's that's the jocks saying, you know what? Hey, y'all are good enough to be looked at as our equals. I would almost guarantee you that would not have happened in my day and age at that high school, because they barely gave the other sports that kind of courtesy. And when I mean other sports, I'm talking like basketball or the volleyball, which if I were to be going to school there now, I would actually be a 2-letter varsity letter receiver.
Hey.
Because I would have gotten I did get a varsity letter in girls volleyball. And I would have gotten, I would be also eligible to get a varsity letter in wargaming, because it is an official club, just like chess club or math club.
Right.
And they, if you do certain things like, attend X number of events and do X number of, projects, that type of thing, you get a varsity letter for your time as in that club.
All right.
So I would have been the proud recipient of 2 varsity letters if I went to school there now. Girls volleyball and gaming.
Amazing how things have changed.
Yeah. Yep. So people may be asking, girls volleyball, how the hell did you get a varsity letter in girls volleyball? Statistician. My letter had my varsity letter had the brass pin that said stat. So
that's fine.
My high school girlfriend was the manager of the team. the assistant, the head coach of the team was my algebra teacher. The assistant coach was my assistant scoutmaster. So, and my assistant scoutmaster and I were the only men on that bus. And we had to sit in the front seat of the bus opposite the driver.
Huh.
Because the girls would change on the bus.
Oh.
So, if you've ever been on a school bus, the bus driver has that big ass, 3-foot wide mirror.
Right.
So, yeah.
You wouldn't have looked.
The hell I wouldn't. 18 years old in high school.
Hell yeah.
So, cheers to me. Having my second beer of the evening. Had grilled burgers for dinner.
You did that yesterday, didn't you?
That's pork
Nope.
steaks.
Nope. Yesterday was grilled pork steaks that my brother cooked up. And they were fantabulous. Very delicioso. So. Oh. So, Jeff, the game you were playing,
Right.
Second Battle of Manassas, or First Battle of Manassas, or one of the two battles of Manassas, or Bull Run, as the case may or may not be. What level is this? What does each chit represent?
All right. So these are they're in brigades, all right, but the brigades extend, and depending on the size of the unit, they can extend into the two adjacent hexes if they're a big enough brigade. And that is actually a minor stretch of what it can do, because granted, you have a sheet that shows, and each number is worth 50 men on this thing.
Okay.
You have a count of the amount of men that are in there. All right, so like a 26 would be 1,300 men, and they have a code that starts potentially. They can some of the games the unit may have a strength rating on the board of. Let's see if I can show one here. Union ones are pretty bad, but they can have a rating of up to AAA, and this one here I think is he is an AB, so he can extend into one hex. He can have an A strength, which is like the majority of the men in one hex, and then he can stretch his line out to the right or left and have what's called a B strength. Now, those letters are what's used on your fire chart. You've got A and B and C.
Okay.
So you can go. So it's none of this where you have to count up the numbers to figure out how much firepower you got. It's just a letter, and it tells you what your firepower is.
Right.
So they dumbed down some of that, which when I first looked at these games, when I started playing them, I was like, well, this looks silly. And actually, it's quite enjoyable. So
let me ask you this.
All right.
What is your preferred style of game? And I'll explain what I'm talking about in explaining my preferred type of game. I prefer a results-based game. In other words, I don't need to get down into the weeds on, Billy Bob there's got his Kentucky squirrel gun.
Okay. Yeah.
And Francis from New York has just has a smoothbore musket.
Right.
I don't care. I don't care how long it takes to reload.
Gotcha.
When I'm dealing with something that's brigade level or higher, or even in what a tanker,
right?
A 75 is a 75 is a 75. A 76 is slightly better than a 75. Okay, give it another strike die, whatever.
Right. I got you.
So I'm more of I want to know the end result. Yes, I want the process to be, I want the process to give me historically viable result.
I got you.
In other words, I don't want to play a game where a 50 caliber is going to blow up an M1.
Sure.
But do I truly need the differentiation between a Piat and a Panzerschreck?
Sure. So you're not concerned about I don't necessarily need what can penetrate what range can be what. I want a game that provides me with a decision and
Yes.
in a simplified manner.
Correct. Yeah, I want to know what my result is. And people think, yes, but you don't get you don't get the reality. Like, you're playing a game.
Right.
You're never going to get the reality. The reason why I play, why I really love Force on Force. It doesn't matter whether I've got an M16 or an AK-47.
Right.
In real life, yeah, there is a difference between the AK-47 and the M16. Right. But on the tabletop, they essentially do the same thing.
Sure,
they put large holes into small bodies.
Well, okay, so
what type of gaming? I mean, what type of game? And there's no wrong answer. I'm not going to tell you, you're doing it wrong.
Well, my preferred is, I obviously love Tactical Civil War. That will always be my go-to. And in Tactical Civil War, you would take a system like Great Battles or Line of Battle or RSS or, when I say Great Battles, I'm talking everything back from Terrible Swift Sword up through all the GMT ones, where your regiments will be listed as the primary type of weapon they're carrying, whether it's a rifle, musket, or a shotgun or something like that, which all have different ranges and they all have different effectivenesses at certain ranges. Where this game here is you get the same effect without having to worry about the type of weaponry. So all infantry units in this game, they don't talk about what they're carrying, but they can all shoot 2 hexes and they have a different effectiveness of 2 hexes. Artillery starts with most of them start with a number 5, which could mean that they have potentially 20, like that's strength of 5 right there. He could potentially have 20 to 25 guns.
Okay.
In that. And they also, it's not differentiated by Napoleons, 12-pounders, rifled cannon. It's not differentiated by that. There's a range chart and 5 guns at a range of 10 hexes. Those 5 guns suddenly become a half point for combat.
Okay.
And then your combat table is just laid out in total fire points. So I can have 2 infantry units that are side by side shooting at a Confederate infantry unit, and the one infantry unit's an A, and at point blank range, that would give me 4 fire points. And the infantry unit beside him is a B strength. He would give me 2. So now I've got 6 fire points, and maybe I got 5 cannons sitting with one of those infantry units. And those 5 cannons at point blank range give me 5 points. So now I just made 11 points. And then I would go to my fire chart, roll my dice on the bottom here using the proper category for the fire points, and then get my result. And you in this game here, you have close combat, which is done on the move. And I've, over the years, especially the last year, I've read a lot about how the hand-to-hand fighting in the Civil War was not as often as everybody seems to think it was. Most of the time, the regiments would roll up within rock-throwing distance of each other and start shooting back and forth.
Yeah.
Nobody really wanted to get in there and mix it up with their hands and stuff. Granted, there are cases of it. So they have a rule in here called close combat where you get into what you would think is a melee in the same hex, but you do it during movement when really it's just a close quarters engagement with weaponry. Maybe there was melee. The results are usually a lot bloodier. If you look on the fire table, if you're an A strength infantry unit, and you get into close combat, your fire point strength is 8. Whereas if you're shooting at point blank range, it's only 4.
Oh, okay.
So there's a lot more smoke and lead within the same hex.
Right.
And in reality, they're in the same hex, but they're just, it's face to face.
Sure.
Maybe there's melee, maybe there's not.
Yeah. What is a hex?
In
I
this
represent
game,
distance-wise.
I think it's 100, maybe 120 yards.
Okay.
No, I tell you, NotJay, that's a lie. It's got to be bigger than that because this is a brigade level game. I don't have those rules directly in front of me. I'm sorry.
That's fine. No, so during
NotJay, you said you don't want to know the type of gun.
Well, it's not that I don't want to know the type of gun. It's I don't need it to be differentiated.
200 yards per hex.
Okay.
So how about the cannons? Are those, because it seems like that's kind of like, I think I heard Jeff saying. I'm sorry, I was kind of concentrating here, but I heard Jeff saying something about the Napoleon or the rifled or the. Does that matter to you, or do you just like a cannon?
So it depends on the level of game I'm playing.
What do you prefer?
Again, it depends on the level. So if I'm down to where each one of my, so like in World War 85, each chit, each token is essentially a platoon.
Right.
To me, that is still very much a tactical game.
Yep.
Because at that point in time, I'm at most a battalion commander.
Right.
So I'm looking 2 levels down. There should be a differentiation between a 105 millimeter gun and a 120 millimeter gun. There should not be a difference between a 120 millimeter NATO gun and a 120 millimeter Soviet gun.
Right. Well,
even though there is.
And the same thing in here is if you're playing a crunchy like Great Battles, you know, and you've got Union infantry rushing a position that has Confederate artillery, you would rather that Confederate artillery sitting there firing canister or Napoleons or 10-pounders or 12-pounders as opposed to three-inch rifles.
Right.
Because the canister effect is going to be much more. And crunchy games like that, you know, you'll see. Like I remember the old terrible Swift sword. If it was Napoleons sitting in a hex at point blank range firing canister at 1 hex, their strength might be multiplied by 8, where a 3-inch rifle would be multiplied by 2.
Right, and if there is a differentiation in the effect that the weapon does, then yes, differentiate it. But again, like I said, it doesn't matter if it's an M16 or an AK-47.
Right.
You've got generally at a level where a token or a figure is representative of a fire team or a squad or even a platoon, it doesn't matter. Even when I'm playing individual, men like in Force on Force or Fistful of Lead, it still to me doesn't matter if it's an an AK-47 or a M16, M4, because it's to me it's more important the training of the combatant.
Right. Well, so every series of games has their different drive. Like I think the game Todd's playing, their standard combat series, is about movement and combat and exploitation when you can pull it off with some air artillery mixed in. This game here, its base is on the order system. And as a prime example, Pope is in command of the field and he's sitting way over here. All right.
Mm-hmm.
His corps commanders are McDowell. He's got two different armies here, actually. McDowell, Porter, Reno, and Heinzelman. All right. So the initial orders for these guys, and this is where this game makes its caramel, I like to say. Porter and McDowell's initial orders they started back here on Dolan's Ridge, were to parallel the turnpike and then attack Jackson's right flank at the end of the railroad cut. They were not aware that Longstreet's sitting over here in the woods waiting. Okay.
Right.
So you have to stick to those orders. Now, once one of these commanders, or you decide, there's a big Confederate army here, I need to change their orders. They need to fall back. So right now you can see these guys are in the midst of all these Confederates right here.
Yeah.
But they have orders that will kick in on their movement phase of this turn to to start falling back and set up a defensive line here. But they cannot get those orders until Pope's aide has ridden out here, which is on this turn. He has passed the orders on to the headquarters of these two corps. And then those leaders of those corps enter their headquarters hex, and then those orders are instantaneous, and all their divisions can start falling back. So I got fortunate with the orders. Pope, being an Army commander, he was able to issue those orders at a point cost. You have to roll for any initiative. He issued the orders. He sent them out by dispatch. The dispatch riders only needed one turn to get there, and those orders become instantaneous on the following turn. So these guys had to take punishment on their original orders for one more turn. And now that turn is over, their next movement phase, they'll be able to skedaddle back down that turnpike and hopefully get into a defensive posture to deal with Longstreet. I don't think it's going to happen because Longstreet's already caving in the left side of their line.
Right. Quick question for you, Todd.
Yes, sir.
Which I need to pee.
What level of game is Rostov 41?
I always have a look here what these stand for here. They vary based on the standard combat series changes by each game. So each turn represents 3 to 6 days. Each hex is 2.5 miles. Units range from battalions to divisions.
Okay, so it is
It's zoomed out.
several levels up from what Jeff is playing.
Correct.
So a single token, a single chit, is a division, which is about what, 20,000 men, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Well, Soviets, are 10 to 20,000 men.
Yeah,
or 5 to 10, whatever. Yep. Yeah. So here you really, you don't even discuss what the weapons are. You don't even.
Yeah. It's just firepower at that point.
It's motorized. This says it's motorcycles, but that just lets you know mobility. These are, so you have armor, you have motorized infantry, you have recon, you have fully armored. Now, what they do, which is cool, if you understand this a little bit, when some people really remember this stuff, I'm not very good at it, but like this tells you this is the 317th Rifle, battalion or regiment or whatever.
Right.
The 16th Panzer Division. So if you know that stuff, so it's kind of cool that way, because usually when you're looking at like maps and history books, you're usually talking about more corps and armies, but you can often see like, oh, the 16th Division was here, the 12th was here. Whereas, my favorite size is tactical. Well, you rarely see, 3rd platoon of 2nd company
Right.
on a map. Rarely. You do on some, but so you never really know where you're like, oh, they're in this general area. So in that way, it's kind of cool to kind of get that. And, it's interesting when you're playing like Market Garden or Day of Days, you might see some of the same, divisions on the Allied side because they're there at D-Day and then they get up there and they're used at Market Garden. Or the Germans, there are some famous ones that you see early war, or like they are in France and then they're in East Front and then they're back in France. So you can kind of see, I can't pull one off the top of my head, but it's kind of interesting if you start to see common units. So now the Soviets, I can't keep track of at all because.
Right. Well, I just brought up divisions in Wikipedia, and it says the divisional system reached its numerical height during the Second World War. The Soviet Union's Red Army consisted of more than 1,000 division-sized units at any one time, and the number of rifle divisions raised during the Great Patriotic War of 1941 to 1945 is estimated at 2,000. That's crazy.
Wow.
That is crazy talk. Nazi Germany had hundreds of numbered and or named divisions, while the United States employed up to 91 divisions.
That's deployed at one time, but check the number of armies the Soviet Union put into action during World War II. Because I'm gonna guarantee you that number's got to be 3 digits and at least starting with a 2.
All right, let's go with Field Army. That's between 100,000 and 300,000 men. And let's see, number of Soviet armies. Soviet Army World War II. List of Soviet armies. Number of courses. Come on, give me a number. Give me a number. Wow. So in October of 1944, Battle of Debrecen, the 27th Army was a massive organization with 9 rifle divisions, an artillery division, and 4 attached Romanian infantry divisions.
So that would have been the Romanians when they switched sides.
Yeah. Okay, so we got 1, 2. List of armies in the Civil War. Don't want that. List of armies from 1930. Guards, armies. Okay, let's do some counting here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Oh, during World War II, let's go up to. They had 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. Okay. It looks like they had well over 71 regular armies that were established and operated between 1938 and 1945.
All right. So 7. That's still a big number for armies.
Well, that doesn't include the Guards armies. That was just regular. Guards army from 42 up to 43 were 11. So we're now up to 81 armies.
So we're almost to 100.
Shock armies. You've got 5 of them, so we're up to what, 86 now?
Wow.
Tank armies and mechanized armies. We've got another 6, so we're at 91, 92.
Right.
And then reserve armies, they had another 10. So yeah, you're at 102. 102 armies. Not counting their militias.
Right.
So yeah. That's a lot. They had more armies than we had divisions.
Yep.
That's crazy talk. And some are actually still in existence under Russian ground forces.
Well, we have the same thing too, right?
Yeah. Yeah, well, 36th Infantry. Well, granted, the 36th is a National Guard unit, but it currently is. There are members of the 36th Infantry Division that have had more deployment time than regular army units.
Right.
and part of the 10th Mountain Division. I don't remember what unit, but it actually wears the 36th Infantry patch.
Well, I was in Alpha Troop 317 Cav was my last unit in 10th Mountain Division. And somewhere in the chain, they're part of the old Custer lineage.
Oh, 7th Cav?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somewhere along the line.
Yeah. See, the 36th started in 1917 and was one of the most fought divisions during World War I for the Americans. Then they were downgraded and denationalized during the interwar period, and then in 1940 they got renationalized, reactivated, and when they finally went to war, they were actually the first. The 36th Infantry Division was actually the first American unit to land in Europe.
I did not know that.
Yep. Salerno.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And see, nobody remembers Italy. Yeah, they were in Italy and the south of France, like we talked about yesterday. When I do World War II, I focused on Operation Dragoon, the landing at the landing on the south of France, and was supposed to have happened in June of 1945, but we just didn't have enough landing craft. The plan was for Overlord and Dragoon to happen at the exact same time, so the Germans didn't know what the hell was going on, because that they would have had two new fronts open up immediately, but it didn't happen until September of 45.
Right.
Still rolled up on them like nobody's business.
Speaking of things, NotJay, games, Warmutt shipped a game off to me today.
Oh yeah, what did he send you?
What was it, Todd?
Med War Sicily by Worthington Games. It's the one that gave him a heart attack.
What was the heart attack? Because he opened it up and saw hexes and counters?
That's the joke, yeah. I mean, heart attacks are no joking matter, but it's Warmutt, so we gotta. What was the name of the game again?
Med War Sicily, like Mediterranean War.
Med War Sicily.
Med War Sicily. Worthington Games.
Probably spelling this crap wrong.
And of course, you know me, I'm still so freaking proud that this arrived today.
There you go.
Talk about a rare game.
That's the one you have for life.
Huh?
You're gonna do a proper unboxing?
I did a hasty. Did you see it? I did the sofa version. Huh?
I saw it. Yeah.
My little blow through real quick. I probably will do a proper one where I can pull everything out and everybody look at it. I was so excited to get it. What did freaking Tavar said? Damn, I thought you were seriously going to open up a new couch for your living room.
Oh, that's funny.
And freaking Steeler fan said, this is like the Blair Witch Project.
Nice. That's something that there's a big misconception outside of the historical war buff people, is that the Marines had nothing to do in World War I, and B, the Marines did everything in the Pacific War, in the PTO during World War II. And both couldn't be further from the truth.
Well, my unit in Germany that I was in, my armor unit, we had ribbons for Saipan and Tinia, and I was in 568 armor.
Yeah.
And I didn't pay much attention to then, but I've always wondered, well, how in the hell did we go to that road?
What unit were you in?
568 armor.
Huh. I'll have to look that up again also. What was the name of this damn game?
Med War, Sicily.
Why am I not finding it on their website?
MED space WAR, Sicily.
Look it up on BGG.
Well, I was looking at it on their actual website.
Oh, you may not have it.
Yeah, I did find one that I'm going to look at though. It's called Texas Arrows.
Oh, you'll like that.
That's
There's a
Band
lot
of
of people
Brothers.
like that series.
Yeah, that's Band of Brothers. That's tactical. That's squad level.
Third game in the Band of Brothers series of World War II tactical games. It follows the U.S. 36th through Italy, France, and Germany during World War II. First line and elite U.S. infantry squads are introduced. In 12 scenarios, they face a mixture of opposition forces, including second-line Germans, first-line Germans, Panzer Grenadiers, new vehicle make an appearance as well. You need to own Screaming Eagles and Ghost Panzer to play all scenarios in Texas.
There's the mutt. Say hello to the war mutt.
Hey, how you doing, Muddy?
He's visiting for a second.
Hey, all, just dropping by to say hi. Now off to chow time. What's chow tonight, buddy? He's Med War Sicily Operation Husky. Okay, bye. Oh, great. Yeah. We just had a drive-by mudding.
Shaken and back one. Oh my God.
Band of Brothers 6-0 is the third game of the False. We just read that.
Yeah, you have to own a few other games to play it.
Texas Arrows uses the same streamlined proficiency system introduced in Band of Brothers. Ghost Panzer ownership of both Screaming Eagles and Ghost Panzer is required to play. Well, poodles.
Yeah, you got to buy 3 games.
What's a bag of ass?
Oh.
P.
UPPPPP. My GMT games from Decision Games shipped today.
There you go.
That still cracks me up.
Okay, so let's find.
Damn, I just shattered 3 freaking brigades with the Stonewall Brigade. No, with one of the other brigades inside that same division. And they're freaking getting shaken, causes the units they fall into to get shaken. Which is
I think the name of this game is seriously underplays the immensity, the enormity of what happened from 1939 to 1945.
Well, which game are you talking
Struggle
about?
for Europe.
Oh, okay.
It's like, really? Struggle? That's what you're going with? Hey, Mr. Beckus. I am glad you are here, sir. That makes me happy.
I have just finished a turn for the Confederates. I just finished a whole turn, actually. So there's only 6 more turns left in this game. If I sit down and I focus while I'm playing this game,
it's sold
I can knock out a turn in 30 minutes.
Jackasses.
You could probably find used copies of that.
Yeah, it's the Ghost Panzer. They had it on sale for $25. It lists for $75. And then, of course, Band of Brothers is sold out. Screaming Eagles Remastered is sold out at $75. Okay, so I'm going to have to go to BGG. Board Game Geeks.
Bloodlust, he's by himself, so that's gone.
So if, and this is going to sound somewhat ridiculous. If someone was wanting to get interested in Civil War gaming,
right?
Not
But
saying
has-
you are.
but has no true interest in the Civil War.
Okay.
Man. Chris,
Where would
not
you
Jay and I
go?
are exactly alike here.
Where would you go? What would you?
If they have no interest, but they're tempted, we'll say,
Yeah,
I would start with if you can find one. There's some newer ones out there. This Rebel Fury that everybody's talking about that's coming out.
yeah,
That'll be a good one because it's going to probably be similar to the old SPI and the old GMT Blue and Gray or Decision Games Blue and Gray, not the GMT card game one, where it's just probably division, maybe sometimes brigade level. It's one of those I go, you go, pretty
Yeah.
simple. That would Civil War. I mean, I don't know. Maybe this applies to all games, and you guys can probably validate it. You either want to play a game that is simple, fast, and you're done in an hour or two, or you're going to play a game that you're going to have set up for a few days. I don't think there's an in between.
okay.
So it just depends. I mean, I think it's with any game. It depends on how crunchy you want to get. Like okay, I know that I've got 1870 Mets back there in the GMT game,
Yeah,
and I really think I'm going to like that game. And even though it's in an era that I would not play. Well, I'm sorry. It's in a European era that I would not play.
yeah.
But it looks really good. Yeah, but Civil War, if you wanted to test the waters on Civil War, okay, so if you came to me and said, hey, Jeff, I want to play my first Civil War game, but I want to play something that really brings the Civil War to life to me. And the first question I'm going to ask you is, do you want to play something on a big scale? I mean, on a strategic type or maybe operational, or do you want to play something that's crunchy? Well, if you tell me you want to play crunchy and you want to get something that relates, I'm going to say go play Great Battles of American Civil War. If you want to play something on a strategic / operational level that's really going to show you maneuver of the Civil War, I'm going to say Great Campaigns.
All right. All right.
This game here is not. I don't know. Everybody uses the feint of heart. The order system in this game can just drive you freaking nuts because everybody talks about, well, you can't play against yourself because you know what you're going to do. Well, I got news for you. You can in this game because it's fine for me to know what I want to do with both sides and how to counteract it. But if my leaders don't accept the orders, nothing's going to get counteracted.
Exactly. So Paul Beckus says, I'm painting my 15mm Louisiana Tigers at the moment. I'm cheating by using a Sharpie pen to do the blue stripes on the trousers. Hey, that's
That
not
works.
cheating. That's
That works.
winning.
And they are on this board right here, PB. But I am not sure. They would have been in Yule's or
So
Are those
the
Zouaves, or is that are the Louisiana Tigers the Zouaves, or were those someone completely?
they had some, but
Okay.
they were just a bunch of Cajuns.
Okay, just batshit crazy.
Yep. And very, very good. They were part of Johnson's division. They were Hayes's brigade, not Johnson. I'm sorry. Was it Early? Hayes, Avery. Yeah, they were part of Early's, and they were tough. And they weren't even the best of Early's troops. Gordon's Georgians were the best of Early's troops, but the Louisiana Tigers were under the command of a guy named Hayes. They were also extremely efficient.
Okay. And then he says Battle Cry. Now that is the Command and Colors version of the Civil War, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it is.
Okay. I like, much to Matt's chagrin, I'm a fan of Command and Colors. I have the basic Ancients game.
Right.
I enjoy it. My brother has, I think, all of the Ancients versions. He also has Plastic Soldier Company's version, Red Alert, the space ship combat game. He's also got Tricorn, which is American independence. He's got a couple of Napoleonics. He's got Battle Lore, I think. He's got Battle Cry, I think.
I think it's a good system. I think they've done really good with it.
Yeah.
What's the so what series did Jeff say, or what game for you, Chris?
Something like that.
Oh, really? A Battle Cry?
No.
Blue and Gray or Rebel Fury from GMT. Look up Rebel Fury from GMT on the P500.
Rebel
Fury. I think it's a Richard Bird. I could be wrong, but I think it's a Richard Bird.
So none of the series. So Great Battles is too complex. Great Campaigns is a little too much. That's what you're saying?
Yeah. Now, Todd, you're going to like Great Campaigns whenever you do get time to get around to it.
Rebel Fury.
It's a P500 that should be coming out soon.
I need to hurry up and try that game out.
Yeah, use the latest rules too.
So that's not it. Some other comments here. Mr. Becca says, I'm doing the Zooavs. All right. And then Wargaming Noob Historical has joined. Hello.
Great channel there, Noob. Great channel. I pop over and look at your videos every now and then, brother.
Thank you. And Mr. Beckus welcomes you as well. So thank you for joining tonight. I appreciate it.
Man.
It's, I'm getting there. I still have less subscribers than my nephew who
That's
just
hilarious.
makes just random ass videos. The video he just put out, I think he put it out, I got notified earlier today because I'm a subscriber. So I got notified on my phone earlier today and I went to look at it. It already had like 35 views.
Just not right.
I still don't have 35 views on one of mine. So.
Does that seem right? Is that right to you? Does that seem right to you?
Yeah, because it's a kid, So how do I look up stuff on P500?
You should just, when you go to the P500 page on GMT, you just scroll down the list.
GMT,
It's
okay.
probably in the first or second. And you can also, I think they also have a search ability too. So let's go back over here. I've played enough tonight, so.
And it's obvious you don't have cats.
Nope, no kitty cats. Live by myself. Can't have pets in here. So
I'll be honest, I could not. I don't think I could live without having my cats.
I talk to myself.
Oh, I talk to myself all the time as well.
And I have my games to talk back to me.
There you go.
Another point for the Soviets.
No, that can't be happening.
Yep.
Okay,
Cleaning up.
not Greenwich Mean Time. Thanks, Google. Games.
Yeah,
That's what I'm going here.
Cleaning up.
All right, Atlantic Chase, Bayonets and Tomahawks,
Those are all just released recently, so it should be below that somewhere.
Dominant Species Marine, newest P500 game additions.
It'll be in one of the big P500 sections where the games that I'm waiting on are still at.
News and P500 pre-order. There we go. It has its own thing. All right, Apocalypse Road, Land at the printer. So is this one still waiting to go?
Probably. I'm waiting on Into the Woods, and I'm waiting on U.S. Civil War, and I'm waiting on Army Group North, which just got delayed 3 to 6 months, and Army Group Center.
Barbarossa.
Yeah, there you go.
Banish the Snakes.
Huh.
It's
Solitaire or cooperative strategy game of St. Patrick in Ireland. Bear's Claw. Churchill. I've actually played Churchill. That was a fun game.
See, those okay, so when I first saw you I didn't have the sound on. First time I watched Y'all's Room, and I said, this guy plays Diplomacy. This guy plays Versailles.
No, I don't have the game. I have played the game. One of Jay's Jamboree fellows is a board gamer, hardcore board gamer. Have you ever played Junta?
Nah, if it's not Hex Encounter War Game, I don't touch it.
No, well, yeah, it's not really a Hex Encounter. It's a board game, and it's a blast. It's best to play with all 7 players, and it's so the true goal of the game is to pocket as much cash as you can.
Okay.
And the reason why it's called Junta is it's all about being in a banana republic, being in the leadership circle of a banana republic.
Right.
And just look it up sometime. I can't explain it very well. It's one of those you got to play it to understand it. It's a blast. So much fun with the right guys that just love to have fun.
Right.
And don't care if you get stabbed in the back, or you don't care if they, if you stab them in the back, they don't care. You don't care if they stab you in the back. It's a blast.
I recognize the name.
All right, a couple more here. WGN comes back and says, hey, Paul. And then Paul says, we need a new Combat Commander pack to play. Okay. No Retreat, Pacific War. People.
Hey, NotJay's live.
Yeah, I am. Imagine that. Rebel Fury. Here we go. Rebel Fury. Game 1, 5 battles in Mark Herman's new Civil War Heritage Series. Made the cut.
Yeah,
872. What's that?
People want it because it's light Civil War. Now, also in that same area somewhere, look for Into the Woods. That's my
Into the Woods. And that's probably a bit deeper dive.
That's the next great battles of the American Civil War game. Death Valley was the last one. This is the next one. This is Shiloh at regiment level.
Yeah. Salerno 43.
Pre-ordered. I got that on pre-order.
Okay, let me take a look at that one.
That's part of the Mark Simonich World War II 40-something series. Wish he would have given that a name. You should have given that a series name.
Regiment brigade level game on the Allied invasion of mainland Italy in September of 43. 2 British and 2 American divisions land in the Bay of Salerno, defended by the full strength of the 16th Panzer Division, which is soon reinforced by 5 other German mechanized divisions for 8 days. The survival of the beachhead is in doubt, and emergency measures are taken to reinforce the beachhead with the 82nd Airborne. That's something that really chaps my ass. Is the 82nd gets called out, but they don't say the names of the American divisions, of the leg infantry divisions, the ones that actually, piss shot out of them as they were coming off the damn boats. Same thing with D-Day.
Right.
Everybody knows about the 101st, the 82nd, and was it the 6th Airborne from England, from the UK?
Right.
Nobody knows about the 29th.
I'd say a lot of people in certain circles, because like Van Squadler's got a lot of scenarios around it, because there's a good book by Bukowski on it.
29th ID.
But if you go up to Joe Snuffy on the street,
yeah, you're right,
who's kind of into the idea of, hey, World War II is interesting. I know a little bit about it. They're going to know 101st. They're going to know the 82nd, and what they did during D-Day. They're not going to know anything about the 29th.
Was the 29th or the 28th the Keystone Division? Was it the 28th?
28th is Keystone. 29th was the yin and yang, the blue and gray. I think they're like Maryland.
But they're made up of troops from. The reason it's blue and gray is because it's
Maryland and Virginia, I think.
southern troops and northern troops. Well, what about like Battle Hymn, Jeff, for Chris?
You know, okay, so it's funny when somebody says Battle Hymn to me, the first thing that comes to my mind is the old Milton Bradley game with the blue and the gray plastic soldiers on a square map board used to move. But I know that's not it, so I can't answer to. So y'all are telling me the Battle Hymn is like the Civil War version of a Command and Conquer's game?
No,
Battle Cry.
Battle Cry.
Oh, see, I've never played it. I'm watching Doug Gearhart right now playing the Roman one, where you put the terrain down on the map and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and I don't. I think his are blocks. I don't.
You don't abide.
I can't get. I have the 3 block European World War II games back there from Columbia Games that go together, and I eventually I'll play them. But it's hard for me to look at that. I can't. I mean, it would be kind of cool though to play that game with your unit faces facing towards you, even playing solo. Because by the time I walk around the table, I've almost forgotten my name. And then to go around there and play the other side, that might be actually kind of interesting. But I have a hard time looking at games like that. They don't reach out and grab me.
Well, Battle Hymn's another one that I've heard. I've never played NotJay. I've heard it's relatively good. It's a chip roll system.
Paul Beckus also mentions the Canadians are totally forgotten at D-Day. Absolutely, they're forgotten.
Who? Just kidding.
Yeah, one of my favorite Star Wars characters, Montgomery Scott, played by James Toohan, landed with the Canadians because he was a Canadian soldier, infantryman, and he actually had, I believe it was his ring finger on his right hand shot off during D-Day.
Really?
Yeah. And then became one of the most recognized actors in sci-fi television / movie of all time. But yeah, Mr. Beckus, I totally agree that they are completely forgotten. Nobody talks about them. What the Canadians landed on Juno?
They landed on the first beach, the near beach, or the most northern beach, because that was that scenario I played.
No, I don't want to look up Juno Beach in Florida. Nothing exciting happens on Juno Beach in Florida. Well, I mean, it probably does, but
so if you look up C3I magazine issue number 32, Gettysburg was in there, and that's the same system that the one that Jeff is telling you to buy.
There you go. Not my kind of game, but if you want somebody to play which actually, from what I understand, the rules are actually pretty nice. But
I don't know if it's the exact same system, but it's the same. The magazine was kind of the test bed, I think.
All right. I still want to try, and I've got all of them. I got the whole series, which I understand that Herman Luttman's new Gettysburg game, I guess, is based off the Blind Sword system.
Yep.
I've got all the Blind Sword games. I hear nothing but great things about it. I just have not gotten it to the table yet. Another game I want to play that I got back there, and I started to play one of them, was the 2 volumes of the Huzzah series. The second volume is the entire Battle of Wilderness. It's got like 3 campaign games in it, and that's at company level. Well, Brian Jarvis is telling me how to.
Mr. Beckus visited Juno Beach a couple of years ago. Sad story. Most casualties were from drowning in the high water surge from the storm. Yeah, it was pretty not cool. Yeah, Juno. Canadians came on to Juno. You had the British 6th Airborne landing behind Sword, supporting the British 3rd landing. You had Canadians 3rd landing on Juno. British 56th, I think it is.
So
50th.
would you still say that after playing 2 scenarios in it, would you still say that Day of Days is probably the best SCS game?
That's a good question. So I've played.
You played the Canadian Crucible.
The Canadian Crucible, and I played. What's the other one I played?
You played
Whitman's Charge or something, right?
Yeah, the type with the type.
So I played those 2. I've played Rostov. I've played Stalingrad Pocket 2. I played 2 scenarios in Market Garden.
Yeah, I haven't done that yet. I haven't played that one yet.
Man, that's a tough one. I'm actually enjoying this one more than I thought I would.
Really? Is it because it's moving along faster, or
maybe a little bit. It's just kind of cool. Obviously I need to do something. I need to be way more aggressive as the Germans early on, because I was making progress. In fact, I made progress and I'm doing okay. And these guys have stayed in supply longer than I thought. They're going to be out of supply this turn because the Soviets have been able to kind of close the gaps.
Right.
But so if I had just pushed earlier, that would have helped. I would have got the points. So let's see what the points are right now. So, they went around and took this town of Badiesk.
Right.
So that's 5 points right there. So let's see, 5, 8, 13, 15, 17, 19, 21, 24. 24 minus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 24 minus 8. So they got 15 points right now.
Right.
Let's look what that is. Please hold. That's a German minor victory. That is. When I left you yesterday, it was 5 points.
Yeah, you said 14 points is a German, 14 and up.
No, 14 to 17 is a minor victory. 18 to 21 is a major.
Right. But
I don't think I'm going to get a major, but now I need to really play smart as the Germans to hold them back, because all the Soviets need to start doing is pushing back and getting beyond this river here.
Right.
But I need to do some cleanup here and also check. I need to check supply for the Soviets here. Because to get these points, you have to be in supply. So that's pretty critical too. So I don't know. I'm going to say this one right now. But it was fun playing those games with McMurray.
Right.
I think that makes a huge difference.
Didn't he say he just bought this one too?
Yes. I think that's hilarious. It means I got to play it again soon. So I need to get this done and off the table so I can play something else and then be ready for this again.
PB, I agree. That's what do they still talk today about how that was the greatest generation? What's the term they use for the
greatest generation?
Yeah. Because I got news where, and we all probably see it in little different aspects of our lives over the last 20 or 30 years. There's nothing like that now.
Yeah.
I always get tickled about the stories like, was it Christmas during World War I where they come out of the trenches and met in the middle of no man's land, and or how
exchanged gifts and kicked a football around.
Right.
Soccer for us uncultured heathens in Americas.
The Civil War where they would exchange, whether it's, like in Gettysburg or in Gods and Generals, they talk about showing those two guys with the tobacco and the coffee. But there's all kinds of stories in the Civil War of those kind of things. Is I can't. It seems to me that those eras and before in Europe, I don't remember reading any stories like that. It's like the hatred between opposing factions was so severe.
Yep. So, yeah, just as it like I said, you know, you had during Operation Overlord D-Day, yeah, you had the 6th and the 82nd and 101st, but you don't hear about the 50th infantry from the UK. You don't hear about the 3rd Canadian from Canada. From Canada, you don't hear about the 1st, the 4th, and the 29th from the United States, and you barely hear any. You really don't hear anything about Operation Dragoon. And that's where the most decorated U.S. infantrymen of all, the most decorated infantrymen of all time, had been received. All of his accolades was Audie Murphy with the 3rd Infantry.
Yep.
He landed in Salerno. He landed in Anzio. He landed in Operation Dragoon in the south of France, with the 45th from Oklahoma and the 36th from Texas, along with British and Canadians that you never hear about.
Yeah. Well, I put a lot of the lack of output. I don't put it on the soldiers.
No.
I put on who was in charge.
Yeah. The neck at Gallipoli is the saddest Australian story. There will never be Australians like those guys ever again. And you know what? You gotta think that if you watched Band of Brothers, as I have multiple times, and I'm about to do a deep dive again with it when Memorial Day rolls around, because if I do not have something already going on, I turn on Band of Brothers, and I will watch all 10 episodes in one sitting. It's just that
Christmas when I got that box that year.
What's that?
I got that box for Christmas one year, and I stayed in the cellar with my surround sound watching those DVDs just nonstop until I was done.
Well, I've got it in DVD. I also have it in Blu-ray. And if they come out with, something that's, the size of a pinhead that plays it, I'll buy that too.
Yeah. Netflix was running it for a while.
Yep. But I wish Stephen Ambrose had picked a different unit. Don't get me wrong. I love the stories of Easy Company.
Well, part of the reason is because they had such good reports on. A lot of divisions didn't keep good reports.
Well, and that's the thing is, again, I don't want to sound like a homer, but you should see the reports of the 36th Infantry.
Needs somebody to tell the story.
It's all there. I mean, Goering was captured capitulated, surrendered to the 36th Infantry. They were one of the liberators of one of the concentration camps. In fact, the 36th Infantry is still widely memorialized by the Jewish organization that commemorates, or not commemorates, but memorializes the concentration camps. And I'm saying that wrong, but you know what I'm talking about. They're the ones that keep it in the memory of everybody, so it hopefully never happens again.
Right.
And the people in south of France love the 36th and the 45th Infantry Division, to the point where the day that each individual little village got liberated, is, 36th Infantry Day or 45th Infantry Day there, and it gets repeated time and time again. But you don't hear about those stories, which to me is really sad, because and now we've lost so many of those men that we cannot any longer get firsthand accounts like we did with Band of Brothers. Because believe it or not, Band of Brothers is 20 years old now.
Yep. Well, I'm gonna tell you what. You want to watch? I tell you who's making some really, really great World War II movies, and of course, 97% of them are going to be propaganda. But the Russians, there's a movie called Panfilov's 28 Men, and then there's another one called Tankers, about a KV-1 crew.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you what, both of those movies are excellent, and you can watch them on YouTube, on the YouTube channels. Panfilov's, every time I bring up my YouTube just randomly, I see it, Panfilov's 28 Men.
Yeah. What division was your granddad, Paul? Was it Australian or was it British?
An Aussie, wasn't it?
Well, I know Paul is British, or
Right.
excuse me, Australian. Do not mean to offend, sir. I know Paul is Australian. I wasn't sure about his granddad, though. But yeah, that would be, to me, that would be very interesting. I'm going to change her up a little. I'm going to do something a little different with her. And I so desperately wish that I would have known my boss's grandfather. The commander of this ship right here. Because I would have loved to have talked to him and found out more about his experience in World War II. Because I think that would just be amazing to learn more about his experiences as a commander of a U.S. Navy destroyer escort.
Wasn't the 9th Australian the unit that didn't they hold out in the middle of the desert when Rommel made that first sweeping attack around Bir Halim or something like that? Wasn't the 9th Australian one of those units in the middle of the desert?
I honestly could not tell you.
During Gazala, that's what I was thinking.
9th Australian Division, World War II, Tobruk. Division that served. It was the 4th Division raised for the 2nd Australian Imperial Forces. The distinction of the division included being the frontline combat longer cumulatively than any other Australian division. One of the Australian military's most decorated formations. Okay, so yeah, the 9th Australian is his granddad's unit. Praise for both the Allied and Axis generals, including Montgomery and Rommel, as well as non-Australian military historians. And like the 6th and 7th divisions, being one of the only few Allied Army units to serve in both the Mediterranean and Pacific. So there you go. They're also known as the Rats of Tobruk and the Magnificent Ninth. They were part of Tobruk, El Alamein 1, El Alamein 2, New Guinea, and Borneo. So yeah, that's... Now my brother's unit, 33rd Infantry, National Guard from Illinois, Brigade Combat Team, right, draws its lineage back to the 33rd Infantry out of Illinois. They fought in World War II in the Pacific? Oh, there you go. Bloody Beach, Omaha, or the Bloody Omaha Beach, however that's supposed to be said.
I want to lay these maps out, but my God.
Now, what level is that? If you're playing that game, what are you commanding?
This is Tactical Combat Series. So this would be. Oh, they use the old nomenclature. Todd, what are they? I can't.
What do we got? Hold on here.
Three dots. What's that?
That's company.
The three dots is a
Army's
platoon.
one line, right?
Oh, platoon.
That's a
Yeah.
platoon. 3 dots is a platoon.
Yeah, and then one line is a company, I think.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Dave Hall says my grandmother's brother, which would be your great uncle, who wasn't accepted in the U.S. Army for some medical reason, volunteered in the Australian Army in World War II. Mr. Beckus wants to know more. Please, yes, Mr. Hall. Would love to know more. That is interesting to me. I love the history of World War II. Honestly, it's the time frame that I probably know most about, but I don't know as much as I want. Does that make sense?
Thus, the hunt is on.
I really enjoy knowing more. Oh, that was the other thing I was going to say about talking about the Marines. First, that the Marines didn't do anything during World War I. Well, that's just a damn lie. You just need to know about Belleau Wood to know that's a lie. The other thing is that the Pacific was nothing but Marines, and I can tell you that there were more U.S. Army divisions in the PTO than there were Marine divisions. So take that and put it in your ball cap. Yeah, it's gonna look good.
I'm amazed how some people will have some of these games from the 90s that are great games, and they've never touched them.
Yeah. Okay. This is something I don't understand as just a person in general, not even necessarily because I'm a gamer, but just in general. Why do people buy games and then not punch them and not play them? Are they doing it because they think they can make money off of it someday?
Well, that's what my buddy does. He plays. He's a very, very big gamer. But that's his business. Is buying games when they're pre-ordered. He gets 3 copies of every GMT game automatically shipped to him. He doesn't have to do anything. And he puts them downstairs. He logs them in, and he holds them until they go out of print. That's how he makes his money. Now, that's a business side. I, on the other hand, because actually Big Board Kev has 2 questions up in Console World right now. And one of them is, why do you keep in your collection what you consider to be a bad game? And I'm sitting here debating my answer. And with me, it's because, now granted, I don't think any one of these are going to be a bad game. But the Civil War Brigade series, to me, I want the whole series there. And, if there's
because you're a completist.
Yeah, why buy 9 of them? Why not just get the 10th one?
Yeah, and people I don't want to say people give me grief because not a lot of people know me, but some people that I know give me grief because I've never sold anything. None of my games have ever been I've never sold any of my games, any of my rules, any of my miniatures. I've lost miniatures. I've given miniatures away. I've never sold them. And there's miniatures that I will never play with again. Let's see here. Some more. Paul Beckus also says the Marines get all the press. Well, it's because of their pretty uniforms. Let's be honest. I mean,
they carry
even the goofiest bastard.
It's like special ops. They have a certain cachet about them for sure.
Yeah, even the goofiest bastard looks good in a set of Marine blues. Let's be honest. And when I mean goofiest bastards, my one of my store managers when I worked at my former Apple retail store. Love him to death. He's a great guy, but back when he was in, he was a goofy-looking bastard. First light feet of the Japanese in World War II was at Milne Bay, but everything thinks it was Guadalcanal. True. I don't punch my games until I play it. Sometimes I don't get around to play it. For example, No Retreat, North Africa. Well, and I understand not punching it until you play it.
That's smart, PB.
I get that. But and looky here, Mr. McMurray, how are you doing, sir?
Hey, McMurray's doing all right. How are you guys?
Doing great. Doing great. We're just
we're pontificating.
Shooting the BS.
Good stuff. I was shooting some shit earlier. It was good. I decided to be all healthy before work and eat a bunch of Brussels sprouts, and now I'm in a full-blown colonic rebellion. Making the can look like the Boston Tea Party or the Boston Harbor the morning after the Tea Party. Just
I'm eating
water
here
with chunks of brown sitting in there. Oh, Jesse, even better. Let me elaborate and sing you the song of my people.
Jeff, you wanted to be part of this group.
I'm not saying it's your fault, but this is entirely your fault.
Paul also says he sells nothing either. And then fart balls before work. So,
yeah, I've made better decisions, Paul. Yeah.
Nothing like getting in touch with your cruciferous self, right? Now I have thought about I have a full 40K 4th or 5th edition Ultramarine army that's been painted. I think maybe I might see if it wants to go for sale up on eBay. I don't know. Dave says, unfortunately, I know nothing about it. He was born in the Philippines, an American citizen. Oh, that's cool. My dad was 12 years old, and the whole family came to the U.S. on the SS John Pope and was en route when the A-bomb dropped. Very interesting. Very interesting. My grandfather, who was a Marine, 40K, just throw the lot in the bin. I have considered it, but I do want to see if it's got any legs before I do that. I mean, if there's some poor bastard out there who wants to buy it and give me money for it, I won't deny them that pleasure. But my grandfather, who was a Marine during World War II, in fact, wanted to become a Marine sniper. To the point where he camped out on his sergeant's front door until he finally said, "Okay, what do you want, Word?" And he said, "I want to become a Marine sniper." It's like, "No, you don't." No, really, I do. I'm really good. I've shot 40 out of 40, or whatever it was. I think I could do it. Like, you do realize as a Marine sniper, your battlefield life expectancy is about 12 seconds. Oh, well, maybe not. And he got assigned as a guard on a rig of a troop ship, the USS U.S. Grant. So
I went through.
Could you imagine trying to enforce liquor regulations on the USS U.S. Grant? By nature, it seems like in order to just embody the spirit of that boat, you've got to be hammered all the time.
And on top of that, it used to be a German steamer.
Yeah, exactly.
So there was beer aplenty.
Churchill, no, Mr. Churchill, you're not allowed to drink here. I have a note from my doctor. Jesus, this is high. We're talking a level of high level functioning alcoholism that is just unattainable these days. It's impressive.
The thing about Churchill that amazes me, and it may be anecdotal and maybe apocryphal, but the fact that he smoked something like a dozen Cuban cigars a day.
Come on.
Ate 2 pounds of steak, drank scotch like it was water, and he led Britain through its darkest days.
Yeah, dude. Ike smoked 4 packs a day and on a normal day drank no less than 7 or 8 pots of coffee. That dude was a speed freak that just couldn't get his hands on meth. Yeah.
You know the real reason why they kept Eisenhower in England?
Because they couldn't get that many fucking cigarettes over the channel.
No, because if the first German position he got to, he would down all of their meth.
Yeah, there would be no more Pervatin left in Normandy. That's a very good point. Just be wandering around like Brecor Manor, rounding up all the Pervatin out of their pockets. Hey, I need the little brown bottles, guys. Little brown bottles, white caps, got a weird blue cross on the front of it. All of them to me now.
I don't need a Luger. Daddy needs a little brown bottle.
Yeah, the rest of the Allied Expeditionary Forces all had issues with morphine addiction. Not Ike, the exact opposite.
Oh man.
Yeah,
remember you bring a whole new level to the show, and I appreciate that.
I don't remember what I was. Yeah, I mean that's out of a lecture somewhere. I don't remember what lecture it was. I think it's Rick Atkinson's lecture on preparing for D-Day.
Yeah,
and he's talking about Eisenhower smoking 4 packs of cigarettes a day, and then drinking again just an obnoxious amount of coffee.
Oh yeah,
4 packs of cigarettes. That man had to light 1 cigarette in the morning, and then he just lit them off the fucking end for the previous ones.
He camel humped those things all damn day.
Yeah. You think, all right, a cigarette lasts 10 minutes maybe, if you're talking a lot and just holding on to it, maybe longer than that, right?
Yeah.
Jesus.
To do 80 cigarettes a day.
Yeah, right?
That's impressive.
Damn. There's also the fact that he got 6 hours of sleep on a good day. But yeah.
Oh yeah, it's
just yeah. It's impressive, man.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Bexton says, I'm going to say I don't like Churchill. He abandoned Australia during World War II, but his actions created the U.S.-Australian alliance, which will never be broken. There is that. I think I honestly think the reason why Britain gave up in the Pacific so readily is they got 2 of their battleships just dog stomped.
Yeah.
As they were cruising past Sumatra.
Not only that, but I mean, how much good would, all the British forces in the world in Australia be when Great Britain went down, right? That was the point, was that inevitably Great Britain in 1940 or 1941 had Operation Sea Lion by some bizarre, evil,
Yeah.
jackbooted miracle actually been pulled off. The plan was to go fight in the colonies. The issue is that would have been a whole lot harder when all of a sudden, granted, it's not a huge industrial base, but the entire British industrial base just disappeared.
Well, let's be honest. Britain would have been gone.
Yeah.
There wouldn't have been a Britain. But
Ultimately,
I think,
Mr. Beckus, I think we're losing sight of the most important point that he made. And that's that, Paul, you really need to run for national government there. And then if you play your cards right, I bet you we could figure out a way to make you guys state number 51 or 52. If you played your cards right. You'd probably be in competition with the syrup heads, given that they're another former colony that's just scratching to get into this great union. But you never know. I do believe you could do it, Paul. If anybody could do it, it'd be Paul Beckus.
oh God,
You got to team up with Crocodile Dundee, like Mel Gibson. Mel Gibson's pretty loony. Maybe not Mel Gibson. Like if you could permanently trap Mel Gibson and Mac Roktansky's mentality, then you could probably pull it off. But other than that, Mel Gibson's a bit of a lunatic. But long story short, I think you could do it, Paul.
Excuse me. Oh man, you killing me.
We could swap all of our weird people. Like we could import a bunch of Australians to Florida and ship a bunch of like Floridians and Alabama boys over to Australia.
Dude,
and just like
imagine what would happen if you sent a platoon of Floridian men, Florida man down there.
Yeah.
He says, "Fuck off! We're going to make you state number 9. We're going to save you from Biden."
That's a very attractive counteroffer you've got there, Mr. Work on your gun laws, Mr. Beckus, and you might have a real convincing thing on your hands. But that'd be fit. Like, can you imagine that? You just do like a swap. You let them sit for like 4 generations, and then you swap them back. All of a sudden, you'd have this like bizarre creation of like redneck supermen and women and children.
Just imagine what would happen when Florida man sees his first kangaroo.
Yeah, dude. It'd be like a mix of Catfish Cooley and Crocodile Dundee that is just majestic, man. Like, can you imagine that? Like, we're not talking classy folks like Quigley Down Under, that sort of a crossover. Hell no. No. Not even close. I gotta go.
All right. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was our McMurray. There are more guns here in Australia than there ever has been. We just don't have assault rifles. Fair enough.
We do.
We have a plethora. Anyway, but getting back to, unsung heroes, so to speak. Yeah, it's, it's airborne always gets the glory. And, and then everybody talks about, tanks this, tanks that. Don't get me wrong. I love me some armor. I love Cold War, which is nothing but armor. I mean, if you want to talk about, the having somebody, own the battlefield, armor does it. The only thing is, it's the leg infantry that actually holds the ground. You're not winning nothing if you don't have infantry. Thank you, Dave Hall. You can use the mini war med excuse all you want. Doesn't save you. Excellent episode, Skittles and such. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you. So, we are rolling up on an hour and 45 minutes. It's been a fun time. I hope everybody that has been here, that has watched, has enjoyed it. Excuse me.
Get to shooting the shit and having fun. You forget what time it is.
Yep. So, Jeffafa, thank you for joining me tonight. Thank you for giving me some insight.
My pleasure.
My first Civil War contribution to the channel.
There you
What I was
go.
called for.
Actually, I don't forget about the 11th Airborne. For one, hold on, let me before I say something that I might be remiss in saying, I believe I am correct in what I'm about to say. Where were they deployed? Okay, I'm thinking of a different. Maybe it's the 17th.
That's Airborne Corps 17th. That's for the 82nd, 101st, and 10th Mountain are part of the 17th Airborne Corps.
Okay. Which was the airborne division that was going to be dropped into Japan? No, it was the 11th.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So my former father-in-law was in the 11th Airborne. And he was all ready to go, and they said, "Nope, you're not going." Talk about a case of blue balls, for lack of a better term. And I spoke about this briefly a show or two ago on the War Room during a ramble. He was fully aware of how prejudicial he was against Japanese people.
Oh, I remember you telling about this story.
Yeah. Any of the other Asian populaces didn't matter. He was fine. Vietnamese, Korean, Eastern Russian, Chinese, Laotian, didn't matter. He was fine with them. But if they were Japanese, forget it. So, great chat. Learned a bit. Well, you know what? A former boss of mine used to say, "You learn something new every day, unless you're stupid." So,
on that note,
so Mr. Beckes, thank you for joining me this evening, and Chad and Jeff Fafa. It was a pleasure. Good book to read is D-Day New Guinea. It was where they tested the tactics for Normandy. Oh, very interesting. I'll have to check that out. So, well, we're going to go ahead and wrap up for the evening. We might do this again later on this week. Ostensibly, we do have another ramble coming up on Saturday. Don't know what it is. We will be at some point in time getting back into doing our live play games. Not sure when those are going to be, but it'll happen soon enough. But anyway, everybody, take care of yourselves. If you're watching later, drop me a comment. Let me know that you're watching it. Give me a thumbs up. Give me a thumbs down. Don't care. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. Hit that little bell thing so your phone or your computer will go dingling whenever I decide to do this again. And you guys take care.